Hello and welcome to a special live edition of Brandify Energy Voices. And this is a series where we speak with leaders across the sector to hear their perspective on the power of brand in the industry. And I'm delighted to be joined by Brittany Hirson, the CEO of South Bay Energy. Brittany, great to see you.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, Brittany, and your role.
Yeah, I'm the CEO of South Bay Energy, which is a mom and pop retail energy supplier in the Northeast, New York. And I've been with the company about 10 years now. And I've been there to build it from the ground up with the founders. So that's been really fun.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And Brittany, we're here, of course, live at Charge Energy Branding in Houston here today. There's been some fantastic discussions already. I think we've heard a lot about the transition. We've heard a lot about the need for trust with stakeholders. But across the board, I think it feels like this is a really pivotal moment for the industry as a whole, doesn't it? And what would you say, Brittany, is the power of brand at this pivotal moment in the industry?
Yeah, I think the power of brand for South Bay Energy specifically, and I think a lot of other suppliers in the Northeast here kind of relate to this. We have kind of an intimate relationship with our customers. As a smaller business and a mom and pop shop, that is our brand. So we have the ability to talk to customers because they're also local businesses, other small businesses. So we have the chance to educate them. And that's not necessarily something I see across the sector.
And on the topic of education, you and I were chatting just before this.
Yeah.
We have many, viewers, let's say, watching from Europe at the moment who might not be aware or accustomed to the US market. Why don't you paint a picture for us of the US retail market and South Bay's quite unique role within it?
Absolutely. I think there's a difference between the ERCOT market here in Texas and the Northeast market where South Bay operates and supplies. And the struggles that I face in the Northeast is that the customer doesn't always know or really care who the supplier is compared to Texas, where that's the owner of the relationship with the customer. So I think a lot of times in the Northeast, we have to rely on inbound contact from the customer to really build the relationship with them and explain our brand to them. And that really creates long-term relationships.
Interesting. And what role then does brand play for you in speaking to their needs? How do you leverage brand in those conversations?
Yeah, I think our brand specifically is that we're a mom and pop shop. So when we look to acquire customers and build those relationships, we tend to find other small business mom and pop type branded shops. Those are the companies that relate to us and we can really kind of relate to most clearly.
Sure. So you're speaking to maybe like-minded organizations or of a similar size or scale?
Yeah, size, scale, similar ideas, because the bigger shops don't necessarily have the same values or the same missions as a smaller company. Yeah.
Spoken a lot about challenges today as well in the sector, and you've mentioned some there that's from your unique perspective around, engaging stakeholders in the Northeast. What would you say is the greatest challenge in energy branding right now?
Greatest challenge in energy branding, I think, is identifying your specific brand. It's kind of hard to uniquely differentiate yourself from the competition, especially in the markets that I'm in, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, because there are a lot of suppliers and the offerings that we all bring to the customer are kind of similar. So I think your unique company brand is what really takes the sale home and maintains the relationship with the customer for a long time.
So walk me through your journey at South Bay Energy. How have you done that? How have you carved out that unique position?
Yeah, I think it's probably from the beginning because we've had a lot of face-to-face interaction with clients. And that is definitely not the norm now. But I also don't think it really was then either. So building those really sticky relationships have leveraged long-term customers and referrals from those customers. And I think that's kind of transferable in any space. But the energy space specifically could benefit, from more efforts like that.
Yeah, and in what is often quite a transactional industry, to build that emotion and to build that connection with stakeholders becomes so differentiating and important, doesn't it?
Yeah, a deep connection that also has a return for the company. Because I think sometimes it's a little scary for an energy supplier to hear about branding and connection and not really put that together with the fact that creates a long-term relationship with a client. That's a profitable relationship that benefits both parties.
That is so important. I think I'm so glad you've said that because it's one of the trickiest things, I think, is, in what feels like quite an intangible space, brand doesn't always have, let's say, a metric against it for the return on investment. as CEO of your business and, in your network of leaders, how do you speak about the value of brand? How do you quantify it in a way for your business?
Yeah.
If you do.
I think it's really hard to, because to your point, there's no metric, but I try to create a metric in terms of customers, for example, that you see face to face. What's the lifetime value of that client compared to what's a little bit more industry standard, right? Maybe a customer that you acquire via phone, don't get to talk to that much. I think that's the best metric that can be applied now. Maybe that could be built out over time as more people start to value the human touch in sales and marketing.
Certainly. Let's change tack just a little bit and think about the power of brand for talent. So we've spoken a lot today also about the need to leverage your brand to engage people, to engage prospective talent, but also to build that sense of culture in an organization. Over the past 10 years at South Bay, how have you leveraged brand to build your culture internally?
Yeah, I think it's kind of similar to acquiring customers in the sense that relationships drive everything. So whether you're acquiring talent as an employee, or for me, often it's different vendors, operationally, whatever it may be. If you're transparent, you show somebody who you are and you build a relationship with them, I find that they tend to mirror that culture. And those are the partners that I think have made this business successful. And I imagine others have had possibly a similar experience on that topic.
Interesting. Yeah, we've talked about trust, we've talked about relationships, we've talked about transparency, such important principles, if you will, for brand building. But Brittany, what's the one lesson you've learned from your time leading South Bay Energy that you'd like to share with this community?
Yeah, I think it's to be yourself, do as many favors as you can, and try to build up everybody else around you. And that feeds into the relationships and the culture that both impact people positively and also lead to a profitable company. So that's how you really align goals, is the lesson I've learned.
Fantastic. Well, Brittany, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure to meet and talk to you today. And we look forward to sharing more Brandpie Energy Voices conversations with you here live from Charge in Houston on brandpie.com. Thank you.